All right. We are streaming. I'm gonna paste the link into the old link so that way everyone has the new link. Please.
Jason?
All right, thank you so much for joining us, everyone, for our Occoquan Crossing public meeting. I am Occoquan District Supervisor Kenny Boddye. I represent the Occoquan District on the Prince William County Board of Supervisors. I'm joined tonight by Mayor Ernie Porta of the town of Occoquan and representatives of both Fairfax Water and the Prince William Service Authority. For folks who are wondering what this meeting is about, I'm not going to speak too long. I'll let the experts sort of talk about it here in a second after I hand it over to Mayor Porta. But Fairfax Water is the wholesale provider of water for Prince William County. And they are working on a new project that will install two 42-inch water mains underneath the Occoquan River and make other improvements in order to increase drinking water capacity, enhance system reliability, for the Service Authority existing and future customers. The Service Authority and Fairfax Water work in partnership with Virginia Water to provide water to Eastern Prince William County, including the town of Occoquan and large portions of our district as the Occoquan District. This is a big project. As I mentioned, it's designed to help improve water reliability. And in the age where we're trying to improve our infrastructure with every step that we take, we wanted to make sure that folks were aware of this project and some of the service that would be provided alongside of it. With that, as I said, I'm joined by Mayor Ernie Porta of the town of Occoquan and members of the Fairfax Water and Prince William Service Authority, and I will hand it over to Mayor Ernie Porta. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, Supervisor Boddye, and let me also welcome everyone this evening. My role here tonight is, for all of you, mercifully brief. My primary function is actually to introduce one of our subject matter experts, and that's the Service Authority Deputy General Manager, Don Pennell. Don, if you want to go ahead and take it away, we're all ears.
Great, thank you, Mayor. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. This is an important project, and we're going to give you a technical review of the project and then give you a chance to ask questions. We'll have a Q&A session at the end. One of the advantages of this format is we're able to bring quite a few members of our team, both from Fairfax Water and from Prince William County Service Authority, to be with you tonight to address this project. So I'll introduce some of the key members that we have here. So from the Service Authority, we have Sam Urbatus, who's our Director of Engineering and Planning. We have Debbie Maxwell, who's our Capital Projects Manager. We have Elena Herrera, who is the project manager on this project. We also have Dave Guerra, who's our planning manager. We have Kathy Bentz and Michelle Bouchard also joining us, who do a great job with outreach to make sure you're informed on projects. I don't believe we have our board members with us tonight, but I wanted to acknowledge several of the Fairfax Water team who are actually doing the design on this project. We have Nat Adipur, who's the Director of Engineering and Construction, Planning and Engineering, excuse me. We have Tracy Goldberg, who's the Manager of Engineering. We also have Bobby Cotton, who's the Chief Design Engineer here tonight. Jerry Scott is the Manager of Construction. And so many months down the line, he'll be an important name to know as this project goes into the construction phase. Amanda Shoemaker is also with Jerry as a construction engineer. And then we have Rich Pelle, who's the design engineer on this project. He's going to give you the presentation to really get into the details. And we also have Tom Tant here, who's with Hazen and Sawyer, who's the consulting engineering firm that's doing the design of this project. As Supervisor Boddye said, this is an important project. All the drinking water for eastern Prince William County comes through 2 pipes under the Occoquan that are owned and operated by Fairfax Water. About 2 years ago, the Service Authority identified that due to the age and the condition of those pipes, upgrades were needed. And so we started engaging with Fairfax Water and Virginia American Water on a partnership to provide upgrades to those 2 critical pipes. So what you see tonight is the progress on the design of that improvement. And I'll just mention that we're still several months away from construction, so we're very early, but we thought it was important to meet with the community, make sure we share the progress of the project, and start our engagement process, even though we're several months away from construction. So as I said, there'll be a time for Q&A at the end. And with that, I'll hand it over to Rich.
Thank you, Don. My name is Rich Pelle, and I'm an engineer at Fairfax Water, where I've worked for the past 12 years. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Supervisor Boddye, Mayor Porta, and the respective staffs for organizing and hosting this event. We briefed them on this project a few months ago, and when they asked if we would discuss it at this meeting, we were happy for the opportunity to do so. Okay, water service providers plan, design, and construct projects to provide customers with the reliable supply of drinking water of the highest quality. This project involves water infrastructure replacement, and a team with a broad range of experiences work to bring it to this point in design. In this presentation, we will start with an overview of Fairfax Water and then move on to a discussion of the background of the project, followed by a listing of the project components. From there, we'll take a closer look at how the project will be constructed. We will look at the schedule for the work and then finish the presentation by turning it back over to the supervisor for a question and answer period. Fairfax Water, who we are. Also known as the Fairfax County Water Authority, Fairfax Water was chartered in 1957 by the State Corporation Commission, a public nonprofit water utility. Governed by a 10-member board of directors. It serves nearly 2 million people in Northern Virginia, retail, Fairfax County, and cities of Falls Church and Fairfax, and a wholesale basis, Prince William County Service Authority, and Virginia American Water. Fairfax Water is Virginia's largest water utility and one of the top 25 largest water utilities in the United States. The terms retail and wholesale are mentioned here, and I'll explain the relationship between those terms as they apply to the roles of Fairfax Water, Prince William County Service Authority, and Virginia American Water in eastern Prince William County with respect to this project. So Fairfax Water treats and supplies the drinking water, while the Service Authority and Virginia American are responsible for storage tanks, local distribution mains, customer service, and billing. The next slide will show a map of Fairfax and Prince William counties with the delineation of service areas. Okay, so the light blue areas show where customers are served directly by Fairfax Water, and the dark blue areas show where Fairfax Water provides water on a wholesale basis to Prince William County Service Authority and Virginia American Water, among others, who then provide retail water service to their customers. Prince William County can be seen on this map as having 2 distinct regions, Western and Eastern. The Eastern Prince William County region is the area that will benefit from this project. A little background here. Fairfax Water currently serves eastern Prince William County via 2 parallel water transmission mains crossing under the Occoquan River. Those mains then extend nearly extends southerly from the town of Occoquan for approximately 5 miles to a point near Freedom High School, where they transition to the Prince William County Service Authority system for the rest of the way to the customer. Transmission mains allow for the movement of large quantities of water over relatively long distances, as opposed to more local mains or neighborhood water mains with service connections and water meters serving individual residents and businesses. Transmission mains are a point A to point B conduit with very few or no stops in between. It's express service, essentially a non-stop flight, so to speak. And this project involves transmission mains only. Higher delivery pressures required to meet future demands exceed limitations of the existing river crossing. So Fairfax Water, in conjunction with the Service Authority, has identified the need to provide for increased delivery of water to eastern Prince William County in order to meet future demands associated with growth. An efficient way to achieve the increased flow while leveraging existing assets would be to increase the pressure in the pipelines. But there is a limit to the pressure the pipelines can safely withstand, and the location that will see the highest pressures is at the lowest elevation, simply due to the effect of gravity. The lowest elevation along these mains is where they cross beneath the Occoquan River near the town of Occoquan. It was determined that the resultant pressure may exceed the design rating of the existing pipe material at the crossing and a few hundred feet on each side of the river. So in early 2019, this project was initiated to meet future demands and improve resiliency and reliability of service to eastern Prince William County. Engineer consultant Hazen and Sawyer was selected through request for proposals process to develop the concept and to perform the engineering design. Hazen and Sawyer project manager, Mr. Tom Tant, who is attending this meeting, has worked on this project for nearly 2 years with us and has done a fantastic job in evaluating the 3 water systems involved, summarizing the findings, and leading technical workshops, all of which greatly assisted us in selecting a path forward. Project coordination. Fairfax Water, Prince William County Service Authority, and Virginia American Water work closely on preliminary engineering and conceptual development. Several functional options were evaluated and preferred option agreed to by all 3 water systems. The functional options were initially identified by Fairfax Water. Engineering consultant Hazen Sawyer then fully investigated the options and assessed them in terms of constructability and other criteria. Consensus was reached by the 3 systems and the final engineering phase was underway. This project will enhance reliability and redundancy for Prince William County Service Authority and Virginia American Water customers. Ultimately, that is the goal of this project. These are the 3 parts of the project that we will discuss this evening. It is the river crossing itself, which involves the installation of dual 42-inch water mains tunneled beneath the Occoquan River. The Tanyard Hill Road, which is the replacement of 700 linear feet of 24-inch water main and an interconnection to a 36-inch water main. And Horner Road, which is an interconnection between existing 24-inch and 36-inch water mains. So the strategic interconnections at Tanyard Hill Road and Horner Road will install relatively short lengths of additional water mains to provide for flexibility in operations. And here's a map showing the location of all 3 project elements. The river crossing is the star, is near the town of Occoquan. The Tanyard Hill Road component is just outside and just inside the boundary of the town of Occoquan. Tanyard Hill Road is known as Union Street inside of the town. The Horner Road component is located at the Horner Road commuter parking lot just off of Interstate 95. The river crossing. This is where the river crossing itself will be constructed. The primary work area is on the Fairfax Water property on the Fairfax County side of the Occoquan River, and it's where most of the work will take place. The secondary work area is on Fairfax Water property on the Prince William County side of the river, adjacent to River Mill Park, which you can see right here. And the water main will be installed within a tunnel to cross far beneath the bed of the river, and the work will be done in the dry. So the tunnel will essentially connect from point A to point B. Water main installation most often involves digging a trench, placing the water main inside the trench, and then backfilling and restoring the site. A trenchless crossing or tunnel is more complex and takes longer to perform than a trenched installation, So they are reserved for applications such as crossing a busy highway or a large body of water, such as the Occoquan River. This slide shows a cross section of the river crossing. A shaft will be constructed on the Fairfax County side. The tunnel will proceed in a southerly direction, which is to the left of the slide, crossing beneath the Occoquan River and River Mill Park, which is right here, until reaching the raised bore shaft location. We'll discuss this raised bore process in a bit. So for the construction, this picture shows the Prince William County side of the project where the raised bore operation will take place. The secondary work area, right here, it's on Fairfax Water property that's gated and not accessible to the public, and parking for construction vehicles will be on that property, not on Mill Street. Here's another picture of where the work will take place. This is the tunnel. Fairfax County is on that side. Prince William County is on this side. The raised bore will go up and they'll finish the work in the secondary work area. So this is the this slide shows a bit of the raised bore process. And so the tunnel project will require access shafts at each end of the tunnel. With limited workspace available beside River Mill Park on the Fairfax Water property, this raised bore solution will be employed to minimize the footprint during shaft construction. And here's how it'll work. The tunnel will be constructed horizontally from the primary work area on the Fairfax County side, beneath the river and River Mill Park. And when it reaches the secondary work area beside the park, a small footprint drill rig, shown right here, will be positioned where the raised bore shafts are to go, which will be right here where the red circles are. A small pilot hole will be drilled down into the tunnel, enter the tunnel from above. And a cutter head will be attached to the drill shaft and it will then be pulled slowly upward until it reaches the surface, which creates a shaft through which the new water main will be lowered into the tunnel. And it's anticipated to take 3 to 5 weeks to complete the raised bore operation versus 2 to 3 months that it would take for a conventional shaft. So in summary, this approach will help to minimize construction traffic through the town of Occoquan and lessen the work that'll take place next to River Mill Park. Tanyard Hill Road. This work follows the principle discussed earlier regarding the higher future pressures in the pipeline and the design pressure rating of the existing mains. So the work at this location involves replacing approximately 700 feet of existing water main with new pipe that'll be tolerant of the future higher pressures. And the work here is anticipated to take from 3 to 5 weeks. And here is the current schedule for the projects. Design for the river crossing and Tanyard Hill Road components will be completed this summer. Construction will start later this year and will be completed in early 2023, about 16 months in total. Design for the Horner Road interconnection will be completed this summer with construction completed by early next year. Much smaller project. And so to obtain additional information about the project after this meeting, there are 2 options are available. The first is a link to the project webpage, which is right here. The second is an email address to which questions or comments may be sent, which is right here. And so this concludes my portion of the presentation. At this point, I'd like to return control of the meeting back to the supervisor for a question and answer period. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. As was said, we're going to start the question and answer portion. I appreciate you all having a concise but very informative presentation on this. And it's going to be a very good project. And as folks can tell, this is all about improving the water quality and capacity for folks in Eastern Prince William County. So the first question we have from the audience is, What is being done to improve water quality in the Occoquan River with the goal of getting it off of DEQ's dirty water list, in quotes, and at least getting it classified as safe for recreational use?
Supervisor Boddye, that's a good question, and that was submitted earlier. We did contact the DEQ to ask them to participate on this meeting, but they were unable to join. But they did commit that they'll provide a written response to that question that we'll share with your office that you can push back to the citizens.
Sure, please appreciate that. Second question, and I believe this is also one that came in pre-registered. What is the status of all federal environmental reviews for the project, and what are the details of consultations and permits?
Rich, are you able to address that?
Yes, so this project will involve coordination or permit from the VMRC, Virginia Maritime Marine Resource Commission, and also the Corps of Engineers. So they will be, those permits will be applied for beginning next month. And that permitting process is anticipated to take a few months, and it'll be completed prior to construction, of course, but that'll terminate the design, complete the design process.
Appreciate that. And just one more question that we brought up during our conversation a couple of months back when we talked about this. For the folks that live in the immediate area in the town of Occoquan around where this project is taking place, how will this impact them during the duration of the project? In terms of what they hear, what they see, how will this impact their day-to-day quality of life during the project?
Rich, I'll ask you or possibly Tracy or Jerry to address that one.
Yeah, so it will be visible. It will be visible for a while. We're working to minimize the work on the Prince William County side. So that's why we really designed it the way it has been designed. But we will, along the fence at River Mill Park, we'll put a screen there. In terms of noise, we'll work within the noise ordinance. I mean, we don't plan for night work or weekend work, and we'll certainly be coordinating with the town regarding special events being held at the park. Also, I'll mention that there are no planned service outages for this project, unlike other neighborhood type water main projects where customers will experience intermittent short duration outages. This one is intended to be seamless to the customer, and it's transmission mains. So it's just large quantities of water with very few, or in this case, no connections.
Sure, appreciate that. And in terms of the horizon looking forward, obviously this project is designed to increase capacity, reliability. With our current growth rates in Prince William County, especially Eastern Prince William County, when is the next time you foresee us having to do a project like this at all?
I can hit that one. This project is intended to take us through our planning horizon, which is 2045 right now. So I can speak to that window of time where we're currently in a master planning process to continue to look even further out, but we don't anticipate any additional needs, at least up till 2045.
I appreciate that, Don. As obviously folks, when we hear about projects like this, they want to make sure that we're planning for the long haul with these sorts of infrastructure projects, making sure we're properly planning for growth. And it looks like Mayor Ernie Porta may have a question. Wanted to turn it over to him. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Boddye. Could I trouble the folks doing the presentation to put up the slide again that had the map that showed the dotted lines coming up Tanyard Hill Road? I have a question about that.
One moment, please.
Okay.
Okay, so that's this
Yep.
one?
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm, we've dealt in the town with Fairfax Water for quite some time, and you guys are, Fairfax Water is really great partners. So I don't really have any particular concerns about how you will handle the situation of putting lines under the park and coming out on the other side. It's your property. You know it better than anybody. And I'm very comfortable with what you've said about that. I am a little concerned though about when I see the water main replacement. If I'm following this correctly, it's coming underneath Baileywack Creek, then crossing Tanyard Hill Road, and going southbound on the east side of Tanyard Hill Road. Do I have that right?
Well, it does, and we just got, it's been in the ground for quite a while, and we have some records. So we just completed a survey for that, the land survey.
Right.
That hasn't quite been returned to us just yet, so we don't have the precise locations map. We have the record drawings. And it does continue, I don't know if you see my cursor, a little farther down, I guess through where Supervisor property, perhaps,
Right.
in an easement. But yes, this section, this is the approximate 700-foot length that will be of existing main that will be replaced. Yes.
Okay, so that's my main area of concern. There are 3 property owners there who are Occoquan residents who over the years have dealt with a lot of flooding. They're right along Baileywack Creek there, and the real flooding issue has been water just outside the town boundaries. In other words, on the western side of Tanyard Hill Road, coming in on Baileywack Creek, and during heavy rain periods, jumping that road, Tanyard Hill Road, and flooding their properties. And over time, a lot of steps have been taken to remediate that. The stormwater retention pond that's up on further to the west on LRPRA property has been renovated. VDOT and the county have come in and put ditches on the other side of the road to improve some of that drainage that's just sheeting off the road. The county does a pretty good job before storms of coming down and making sure what we characterize as cow catchers on the western side of Tanyard Hill Road on Baileywack Creek are cleared of debris so that stuff flows under the conduit. There's still some sheeting problems that come from the hillside there after it's rained there several days. Over the following days, it releases its water sort of across the street. VDOT and the county have actually come in and improved that ditch a little bit too. So that has helped with that problem. So we've made progress over the years on that. And I think we've got some more progress coming with future projects that may install curb and gutter there. So my real concern is that when you're doing construction here, that we don't end up in a situation, and it looks like you might be coming, well, it looks like you're a little south of the private property that these homeowners own. But my primary concern is making sure that whatever construction is done there is followed by sufficient remediation efforts to make sure that the carrying capacity of that creek is not diminished further, and in other words, pushes us back rather than forward. In fact, it would be even greater if, as part of this project, it includes some stream remediation along that narrow stretch that might increase the creek's carrying capacity so that it's less likely to flood. So that's my main concern. You'll see, obviously when we have construction, there's going to be growth, natural growth on the top that's going to be taken away. And that, of course, is what's preventing or limiting or diminishing the amount of erosion we have right now. So it'd be really, really important to us that at the conclusion of the project, and during the project, of course, but certainly at its conclusion, that ground cover and other things are replaced in such a way and the stream is remediated in such a way that we haven't taken a couple steps backwards.
I guess this is Tracy Goldberg, Manager of Engineering at Fairfax Water. I think I'll jump in here. So the scope of this project is focused on the water main replacement. And certainly as part of our efforts, we will, restore anything that was disturbed as part of our construction work, as part of our efforts. The scope does not include any kind of stormwater improvements or revegetation or I should say enhanced vegetation. I mean, we will restore what was disturbed with our construction, but the scope does not include improvements to the stream of any kind or enhanced vegetation. If there are other parties who wanted to, we certainly are happy to continue the conversation, but the scope does not currently include those options, and it's really unlike maybe a county project or even a VDOT project, our efforts are really focused on the water main work.
Okay, so that I will tell you, and Tracy, I know you, so I know this is not your fault. That answer that answer kind of makes me nervous, candidly, because the surface conditions after construction are a major factor when it comes to soil erosion and flooding and that sort of thing. I do see one of the property owners I was talking about has a question of whether or not the project will require the opening up of Tanyard Hill Road or Union Street as it is within the town boundaries. In other words, will you have to dig up the road, or are you going to go underneath it without digging it up?
So we are expecting to need to do work in Tanyard Hill Road. We will be required to secure a VDOT permit associated with that work. So we'll do whatever we need to in compliance with that permit and to manage that properly.
Okay, we do know, and maybe you know this, but the Tanyard Hill Road is scheduled, according to the county and VDOT, to be repaved in 2021. So it obviously is going to be a source of some frustration if the road gets repaved and then is promptly dug up again, particularly right in front of these property owners. So, I mean, it's just, what has to happen will happen, but I'll just mention that.
Now, we very much appreciate that. At least, in Fairfax County, we routinely coordinate with VDOT on our regular, our more routine distribution water main projects to make sure we get ahead of the pavement. We can reach out to them if we haven't already to coordinate on that and see if there's an opportunity to coordinate that. There may or may not be. Sometimes there is, depending on their schedule and our schedule, but we will certainly reach out to them to figure that out.
Okay, the one final point on this is I might ultimately reach out to you then and see if you would be willing to assist us. If we determine that there are the grant funds or other monies available that could result in us doing some stormwater remediation there and or revegetation of the surrounding area or enhanced vegetation, as you described it, of the surrounding area, we may come to you and ask for your support in advocating for those grant funds for us. But we'll look at that obviously down the road. Thank you for answering these questions.
Mayor Porta, I appreciate your questions, because I was beginning to think about the crossing there. I know that you and I had been out looking at those particular homeowners' properties and how the stormwater issue has been affecting them for quite some time. I know we were able to get some better enhancements in there, so I appreciate that. Speaking of collaboration, if the folks from Fairfax Water and the Service Authority could also confer and collaborate with our public works folks, Mark Avini and his folks, to make sure that as we make that area whole again after the project is done, that we're looking on the county side as well to make sure that as far as our folks are concerned, everything is up to snuff for them. I would appreciate that as well. And I appreciate Dr. Jack from Local Health mentioning that in the chat. Let's see. We did have one more question, but it looks like it was answered already. It was asking if Tanyard Hill and Union Street would have to be torn up or dug up in order to accommodate this. So that was taken care of as well. I am not seeing any further questions in the chat or from the members of staff that I have online monitoring the other feeds. I will give it maybe 10 or so more seconds to make sure that anyone who has any burning questions or have been formulating questions get a few more seconds before we wrap up here. Appreciate that. Ms. Benz just shared in the chat for everyone watching online that the project website is www.pwcsa or Prince William County Service Authority.org/Occoquan-River-Crossing. And the presentation will be posted on that webpage for everyone who could not make it or wanted to see more about this. My staff and I will also make sure we share that on our social media and our web page and our web presence as well. I think it was Ron, but or Rich, sorry. If you guys could put on that slide one last time for the contacts for the project, the email address, I think folks online would appreciate it. Thank you for that. Yeah, and it looks like a new question came in while we were doing that. What measures will be taken to inform the broader public about the planned Tanyard Hill Union Street work to reduce cut-through traffic? I know that cut-through traffic is still quite an issue for the town of Occoquan under normal season, so I would imagine that's another huge point of concern if parts of Union and Tanyard are sort of buttoned down by this project. So if folks could talk about sort of broader public outreach and how we can make sure we're helping our partners out in the town, make sure they can cut down on that cut-through traffic, especially during this project, I would appreciate it.
Kathy, you want to speak to overall project communication as we approach construction and then get into construction?
Sure. Again, this is Kathy Benz. I'm Deputy Director of Communications for the Service Authority. So we'll be working with Fairfax Water throughout, but specific with the concern about cut-through traffic, perhaps that's something we can, again, work with the town, work with the mayor and the town manager on our social media, on the project webpage, all of the outlets that we have. We can reinforce that message in addition to project-specific messages. So, Mayor, if you've got specific things, we can assist.
I have a suggestion, Kathy. I mean, you could advertise to everybody that the project's going to take 3 years and nobody should cut through the town of Occoquan during their afternoon commute during the duration of the project. So how's that?
Thanks, Ernie. I'm not calling you mayor after that one.
Yeah, but that is the thrust of the question here. Obviously, is that cut through traffic is, and let me call it commuter traffic to be more accurate, because it's during the commuter rush hours that we're concerned primarily about. And the concern here is obviously it's already a major factor for us. If people are simply backed up on Tanyard Hill, down Union Street, down Mill Street, up Washington Street, and out Commerce, unfortunately, we found over time that the mere fact that factually it takes longer to cut through that way, as opposed to staying on Route 123 to get to Old Bridge Road, that really doesn't seem to impact people's choice. Despite the increased time it takes, people still do it. So I think part of what the public sentiment would be here is we see those backups, and if they continue because of the construction, again, we lose faith that it's going to be regulated by the market itself, because the market obviously doesn't seem to regulate it very well. So anything you can do in your public commentary to encourage people not to take that route during construction is something that we are going to appreciate. Now, I know Supervisor Boddye and I and Chair Wheeler have talked about 3 other VDOT projects that are in the works that we ultimately hope are going to relieve some of that congestion. And we'll be sending out some information to the public about those as soon as we get a little bit more detail. So I'm obviously not looking to you to solve our commuter traffic issue, but anything you can do during construction to discourage people from coming through would be very helpful.
Sure, we can do this.
Excuse me, this is Tracy again. If I could just jump in here one more time, I probably should have. We do want to keep communications open with the town, certainly as it relates to traffic impacts on Tanyard Hill Road. We haven't gotten to that stage in the design yet, but we know that's an important issue and it's something we need to think about and be thoughtful about. So So I think you know, on our side, on the construction side, the conversation will continue about that traffic. And once we have a plan, we can communicate that with the town as well.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate that. And if our office could also be looped in so we can help make sure we amplify those communications, we'd appreciate that. And since the mayor brought it up, for folks on the horizon, we are working through some VDOT projects, as Mayor Porta said, to help alleviate traffic in that general area. We know that southbound traffic, especially from Fairfax into the town and onto Old Bridge Road, has been a major point of concern for commuters and people driving for quite some time. Also, folks coming off of 95 going onto the Old Bridge Road corridor. We know a lot of different traffic patterns sort of all converge into the town, and while it does give them some more visibility from folks driving through, it also causes a lot of traffic issues. So just a broadly more global issue on traffic in that area. We are working on that, and as the mayor said, we will have more additional information for folks moving down the pipeline, pun intended. But that didn't want to take up too much more time talking about that, but I agree that the person's question, the individual who asked that question, it's well taken. We do need to be sensitive of how this project is going to affect the traffic flow through the town, especially the Tanyard and Union roadways. Let's see. I'm looking to see if we have any additional questions. Going to give folks a few more seconds to make sure they have gotten any other thoughts and concerns to us. Looks like we have one more question that came in. They are asking on that same corollary to what we were just talking about, why not close the road completely during the construction period that actually affects the roadway?
Go ahead, Bobby.
Sorry, no, this is Bobby Cotton. I figured I'd jump in here. We have not ruled that out. And I'll mention that any impacts to Tanyard Hill Road, including any potential detours, we will heavily coordinate in advance with both the town, the county, and VDOT. And if we do detour, in other words, shut down any portion of Tanyard Hill Road, there will be signage up on Old Mill Road notifying people well in advance so that they don't, inadvertently, go down Tanyard Hill Road only to find that it's closed. We do expect that there will be times when portions of the road will be closed. So we will be, reaching out to the town to look at detour options. And the reason, the justification for closing the road, of course, is to get the construction done more quickly so that we minimize the length of the impacts.
Appreciate that. I figured you all were looking at it as an all of the above approach with all options on the table. So I appreciate that.
And I'll just mention, while on that point, we have been in close contact with most of the property owners right there. With the Sheehans, I've spoken with them. We sent out survey notification letters, so we did get some responses based on that. So there has been coordination. They're familiar with the project, and we will be working with them as well. Also with Lake Ridge Association.
Appreciate that. Let's see. Looks like we have another question coming in. Give me one moment, please. Okay, we just wanted to make sure we got the question completely. Let's see.
Supervisor Boddye, I have it. If I have the question, if you're.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I think this is the one you're looking at. The question is, will you be using the meeting to cover any NEPA public requirements, or can we anticipate a possible future meeting on that topic if required? So when you're answering that, I think implicit in the question as well is whether or not you're going to need to do any sort of environmental impact statements or analysis before the project that would require a public meeting.
Can I ask you to take that one on the permitting?
Yes, Tracy, Tom Tanyard.
Yes, thanks.
Yes. Yeah, so as we get into the permitting process, if it becomes necessary through the process to have a public meeting or to have any type of impact statement, we certainly would have that in compliance with the requirements. The initial expectation based on our assessment of impacts is that they would be minimal enough that would not be required. But if a public meeting is required by the process, we will certainly have one.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the response. And thank you for fielding the question there, Mayor Porta. My question system had lagged there a little bit, so I appreciate the assist. So you're going to give it a few more moments here. While we give a few more moments for folks to get questions, and Dr. Jack from the Lake Ridge Occoquan Coal Civic Association mentioned that their organization will also be discussing this river crossing project on their Thursday, March 25th meeting at 7:30 by Zoom. For folks that aren't aware, the Lake Ridge Occoquan Coal Civic Association is one of the local associations that look at a lot of transportation, land use, and other types of projects. Dr. Jack has a unique position as both one of our members of our service authority, but also an officer of LOCA. So he has a lot of wisdom to share in regards to this. So if folks are interested in more information, I encourage folks to tune into LOCA Pelt's March 25th meeting on 7:30 as well. Let's see. That being said, I am not seeing any more questions come in. Mayor Porta, did you have any closing concerns or questions you wanted to ask of our panelists before we wrapped up?
No, Supervisor Boddye. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time, as well as for your response to the questions. If you can just keep the lines of communication open, that would be helpful. I would like to encourage folks to periodically meet directly, as soon as it's safe to do so, frankly, with a couple of Occoquan property owners who are proximate to where the construction on Tanyard Hill will be, because keeping them informed really helps manage both expectations, and they have a lot of local knowledge about the conditions there, and they've lived there for generations. And so there are things they've seen come and go on those sites that every now and then when someone comes in and does work, their contributions actually can be really valuable in making minor tweaks that make a difference in the effectiveness of the drainage scheme there. So I just encourage you to do that. I know it's a long project, so hopefully periodically those sort of meetings can take place. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Appreciate that, Mayor Porta. I concur wholeheartedly. Those folks there have a lot of institutional knowledge of the area, and they may see something that folks may think is innocuous. But may lead to issues down the road. So whatever we can do to sort of leverage their institutional knowledge there would be very helpful. And again, the county is here to help collaborate, whether it's our public works folks, our stormwater management folks as well. I know Mayor Porta also talked about leveraging relationships with the town on their side. We want to make this project as best it can be, and also make sure that we're making the area whole in terms of all the issues we discussed. Wanted to thank Mayor Porta for joining me tonight, as well as all those who joined us online, and also our partners at both Fairfax Water and the Prince William County Service Authority. We appreciate everything that you all do to ensure that we have quality drinking water and reliable water service to Eastern Prince William County, the town of Occoquan, and our local community. Again, you all see the webpage and the email address for information on this topic and this project moving forward. Also, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, my office, any of your other locally elected officials for more ways to engage with us. We're going to wrap it up now. Thank you again, everyone, and I hope you all have a good night. Please stay safe. Thanks so much.